Welcome to the only wrestling podcast that covers the WWE developmental system from its inception to modern day. From OVW to MCW, the HWA, Deep South, FCW, and much more. Hosted by Brian Asbury and Mortimer Blankenship. Now let's dive into what could have been, what should have been. Welcome to Developmentally Speaking.
Hey, before we get in this episode, can you do us a favor? Will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel?
Will you ring that notification bell?
And if you would, give this video a like. Well, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the episode.
Let's talk developmentally speaking, glow up, and connecting through wrestling.
Hey everybody, I'm Morty.
And I'm Brian.
And on today's episode of Developmentally Speaking, we have Eric Escobar. Eric, how's it going?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm doing fine, doing great. Just started a new job recently, so I'm, getting into the swing of things, but, everything's going well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What kind of line of work?
Banking. Well, the technological side of banking, basically.
Okay.
Setting up debit cards and stuff like that.
So you're the guy. So you're the guy to call when I'm missing a few $100s from my account.
Yes.
If you bank with us, but
Okay.
yeah. But yeah. So the first question I have for you, and you've probably heard it a million times, is what made you want to get into professional wrestling?
The whole thing with wrestling started because I've always been into acting. Up to this day, I'm still involved in some sort of aspect of acting, and I've always been into sports. I always played baseball, played basketball, never in leagues, basketball, but I played a lot of baseball all the way to college, and played basketball on the street with my friends, any type of sport. I've always been. My dad used to say that I was a natural athlete, and it's kind of true. I always had like the basics of what any type of sport any type of ball, basketball, baseball, soccer, softball. Football is not very big in Puerto Rico, but yeah, I had the gist of what it was like to be a football player, and that was like the perfect way to combine both of them. The acting part of it and the athletic part of it just come together in pro wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I can relate to the acting part of it, not necessarily the athletic part, as you can tell, but I when I got into professional wrestling, people always ask me, "Wow, did you wrestle in high school?" I'm like, "No, I was in the drama club." I mean, so I can relate. I can totally relate to that with the acting aspect. If I was more athletic, maybe I'd be a full-blown wrestler, not just a manager who wrestles sometime.
Hey man, it's never late.
Right. Maybe one day. That's the goal. But so what was your first steps into getting into the wrestling world?
So I can't remember exactly what year it was. I went to college in Florida for one semester. They promised me a baseball scholarship, and I honestly, either we made a mistake and we talked to the janitor and we thought that he was one of the guys in charge. But when I came back after I grabbed all my things from Puerto Rico and moved over there, the people that I had talked to, they were not there anymore. So I was like, okay. So I finished that semester, and that's when I really got into wrestling because there was nothing to do. I mean, I didn't have a car. One of my roommates, he had a car, but I didn't want to abuse it. The girl I was dating, she had a car, and all that. And again, I didn't want to abuse it, but there was not much to do around there.
Right.
Obviously you're in college. You're just eating ramen noodles almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I really got into wrestling. That was around the time and just before that also, I had already watched wrestling. But that was when it was the peak of, oh my God, the Attitude Era. That's when The Rock, Austin, Mick Foley, Triple H, Taker, all those guys. You will watch every single show from WWE, and everyone had a storyline, which is something that's probably why I stopped watching wrestling all around. And it's not a shot at anyone, or it's probably more a shot at the way they have evolved in their minds the business, but I much rather watch a show that everyone has a reason for being there, not because hey you didn't like that guy, so you guys are gonna have a match tonight, and no rhyme or reason, but everyone back then had a storyline, and that's what really drove me into it. Of course, my guys were Taker, Stone Cold, The Rock, not in that particular order. It was just the control they had of the crowd.
Oh yeah.
Taker, you hear that initial gong, everyone would go crazy, and The Rock would just raise an eyebrow, and people would go crazy. Austin would flip everyone off, and everyone would go crazy. I'm like, I would like that control.
Yeah.
I would like to feel what it's like to have that power, and up to a sense, if you will, in developmental, um, back in Florida, and a little bit in Georgia, and my time in Puerto Rico, to a point I had that control. Never translated to the big stage, but it is what it is.
Right. Absolutely. So, um, a good friend of the podcast, Rip Rogers, puts it like it's kind of like you have to take the crowd on an emotional roller coaster. You got to take them up, you got to take them down. I believe he one time called it a mental masturbation of the crowd, which is a great way to put it,
Yeah.
because it you know there are you need the look, you need the ability, and you need the charisma really to be able to
Yeah.
do that. And um you know not everybody has that it factor, but a lot of people do have it that weren't allowed to even show it off like you're saying. So give us a little sneak peek into what developmental was for you, like when you showed up, what the plan was, how Eric Escobar came to be, just
So, in 2005, if I'm not mistaken, that's when the WWE had the first ever. Oh my God, the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view where they
Hmm.
had the first chamber. I
Yep.
think if I'm not mistaken, that was January '05 in Puerto Rico,
I think that's
okay.
right. Yeah. I remember it was in Puerto
right?
Rico.
So I remember the day before. That was a Sunday. The day before, I was working for Carlos WLC in Puerto Rico,
Hmm.
and during my match, um, I got busted open the hard way in the back of the head.
Mm.
Um, so I get hit with a chair. I go down, and I see like spots of blood on the floor. I'm like, I start thinking like, time goes really like slow, but at the same time, it's like goes really fast. So I'm thinking, I'm like, who is bleeding during their match? And I start thinking, I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I see like blood coming out of me. So, oh, it's me. And then I see all the referees there. It's like, hey man, Carlos said if you want to stop the match, go ahead. I'm like, stop it for what? I mean, am I dying or oh, what's going on? So long story short, that was like the first 10 seconds of the match. We wrestled for like 50 more minutes.
There you go.
I was like, go out there and all that. My wife at the time, she was my girlfriend at the time. Um, yeah, we were actually engaged to get married. Um, so I tell her, hey, let's go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. I don't get stitched up that day. We waited forever in a private hospital, and I'm getting my phone blown up by a friend of mine who had a wrestling memorabilia store, and he had
Hmm.
brought in Batista and um, rest in peace Chris Benoit to sign autographs at his store. So he's blowing up my phone because hey, I want you to come in and hang out and meet Batista. I'm like, cool, no problem, but I'm dealing with something right now. So I leave. We leave the hospital. I get into an argument with my fiance at the time, and she's like, "No, we gotta stay." I'm like, "No, screw this. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take a shower, and I'll come back tomorrow." So I got my receipt because they already charged me. They get my receipt, go home. And I was like, I'll sleep it off. Go back the next morning around like 6 in the morning, and when I get to the hospital, I show my receipt. Hey, you guys charged me, but I didn't get any service, so they had to reopen the wound so they can stitch me up. So they
Ugh.
stitch me up. When I get out of there, I have like 10 voicemails. It's the WWC office. Hey, we need you to call us. they had got me an interview with John Laurinaitis at the pay per view. I'm like, cool, no problem. That
Wow.
got me into some other trouble with my fiance at the time because we I had tickets for the show and she wanted to go watch the show with me. But now I'm going backstage. I don't nobody. I'm just going there trying to get a job. So I told, hey, go with your mom. And she got upset with me and all that. I went, discuss business and all that. And then they said, hey, eventually they said, hey, would you like to go for a tryout in Georgia? So I had to send some matches, some pictures and all that. Finally, dude, and like a few months later, they say, hey, you want to go for a tryout? So I go for a tryout. And after it was with Bill DeMott in Deep South Wrestling, and within the first, he had split the classes in like 8 to noon and then noon to 4. After the first class, he says, if I have to make a decision right now, you're in. I'm like, sweet. Well, we practiced, trained, had a match that week, and then that Friday comes around, and he pulls me aside, and we're fixing the ring, part of the, paying your dues. And he's like, hey, so do you want a job? I'm like, why else did I come here? It's not to get a job. And he's like, okay, just do me a favor, call John, tell you talk to me. That was it. So I called John, and he said, hey, I want to offer you a job. I had I put on my negotiating pants, and I tried to negotiate my salary, and that backfired really fast. He said, hey, you don't have to take it if you don't want to. I'm like, hey, hold on, let's back it up here for a second. Okay, I'll starve, but I'll be fine. And I took the contract, and I moved over to Georgia, and like I had it was a group of younger guys that we all got together back in Puerto Rico, and we got along and all that. But obviously, it was always like, how do we integrate ourselves with the older guys, the guys who were drawing the money, if you will? And I always had high expectations of me, and whoever got a chance or took the chance to like get to know me, they know that I always said, if I'm gonna do this, I want to go to the big leagues, whether it's Japan or if not WWE. But I never felt like fully welcome. Like everyone thought that I thought that I was better than everyone else because I had those high hopes, dreams, expectations, whatever. So I never felt fully accepted. So when I go to Deep South, I felt like that camaraderie over there. Yeah, we're all competing for a spot and all that, but at the same time, if you've heard the stories of Build 'Em Up, and I'm pretty sure you guys have, I will say that they are true and false at the same time. Uh, a lot of the people that complain about his training methods were people that had never been in a wrestling ring before, so they thought it was extremely hard. Yeah, did he make us do stuff that was like not? Yeah, but it was all haha. It was all like old school mentality type of like hazing and all that. I never saw it go out of hand, but some other people they claim they did. So to each their own. But yeah, I kind of felt fully accepted. And once I get to the developmental system, within a month, I will say, Bill starts telling me, "Hey, they're asking about you." And I thought it was the old school Pat Patterson joke. Who? Nobody. But it was true. It was like, yeah, the writers are asking about you because they got something in the works for you. Ah, cool, no problem. I think if I'm not mistaken, at that time, Jesus was with Carlito, and he was on his way to get surgery or something, and he was not going to be there, so they wanted me to fill the spot. What happened that never came to fruition? I have no idea. So I went through the whole process of like being this kid from Puerto Rico, uh, who wasn't properly trained. My train was on the job training. I took like 1 week of bumps, and they threw me out there. And luckily, I had enough knowledge of the names of the moves and a perception on how to do them that I was able to get by and start to get better. Um, and push came to shove, they shut down Deep South. They moved us to Florida. We go to Florida. It was a transitional period over there. It was for a while we were working out in this baseball facility that had a open space, and then the parents of the kids, because it was like a baseball academy for kids.
Mhm.
And the parents started complaining, "Hey, my kid don't want to play baseball anymore. He want to be a wrestler now." Kids were seeing us take bumps and all that. They were like, "Ooh, what? Mommy, I want to try that." And the guy's like, "Listen, this is bad for business, so you guys gotta go." So then we go into like a warehouse, and I'm talking about this place was in the summer, it was like 105, 110.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I mean, we had like some fans there. The doors were open, and we just training and training and training because we had nothing established there. It was just like and we had to build that place from the ground up. Um, Going through a couple changes here and there. We still don't have a TV when I get injured. I messed up my back. They did some tests. I had something that is called a drop foot. Means that you try to stand on your heels and your foot just drops. Can't hold your body weight. They sent me to a specialist and all that. I said, hey man, you need surgery. And I remember like it was yesterday. I'm sitting down and putting on, unlacing my boots, and Steve Kern comes over. He's like, Eric, what are you doing? I'm like, putting on my boots to work out. This is what I get paid for. And he was like, well, if you put on those boots and get in the ring, I'm gonna make sure you get fired. I'm like, what did I do? I'm just pretending. I'm like, what did I do? And he's like, well, you talk to the doctor. I'm like, damn it, you talk to the doctor. All right. So they sit me out and all that, and I go get my surgery. I come back, and it was another process. They basically told me, hey, you got to lose weight without telling me to lose weight. They just mentioned, I said, hey, you're wearing a 2XL t-shirt, and I can see your gut sticking out. I sound of a bitch.
Oh man.
So I start getting in shape and all that, and that's when Primo comes in, and we just become these. We were trying to be heels. Um, we went to Puerto Rican Nightmares. We had at first we didn't have a valet. We got a valet later. Um, and we tried to do everything in the book. Like we were about thinking about like okay, I'm gonna grab a baby from the crowd and just kick it. I'm gonna punt the baby to the fifth row. Let's see if people start booing us. And people were like, "No, we don't want to boo you guys. We want to cheer for you because they saw that we clicked. Because Primo and I we tagged in Puerto Rico for a while, so we knew each other.
Okay.
Um, so eventually, Dr. Tom and Steve go like, "Well, Dusty comes in as well. It's like we see that you guys tried everything. Um, for whatever reason, people are seeing right through everything, and they don't want to boo you guys. So I guess you guys are gonna be our babyface tag team. We take the tag titles and all that, and yada yada yada. We ended up winning the tag titles like 3 or 4 times. We already doing FCW TV, and we moving around all over the state, and it was good times. And then Primo calls me one day, say, "Hey, I'm on the road." I'm like, "Congratulations, man!" They had thought of an idea that they they pitched to me on the down low that they were gonna bring in Primo first, and then they were gonna get in trouble with someone, and that's when I was gonna come in. And again, what happened? I have no idea. So I'm stuck back in developmental.
Right.
Is going on for a while, and this is when Dusty pulled me aside. Dusty, God rest his soul. He's like, um, I did not think that you were gonna be over as a singles guy, to be quite honest, but you have proven me wrong. You're probably the most over babyface that we have here. Um, I'm gonna start doing something with you. I'm like, cool, no problem. So, usually to me, those things you keep it in between the people that need to know the information.
Mm-hmm.
But then he tells the entire class, "He said, hey,
Oh.
my next champion is gonna be Eric Escobar," and I'm like, oh, okay, I did not see that one coming. Why would
That
you
put
tell
a,
me?
put a bit of a target on your back.
Yeah. So I mean, most of the guys were cool with that because a lot of them recognized that I had been in the system for a while, and they knew that I had been wrestling for a while.
Mhm.
So most of them, for at least to my face, they were fine with that. So I become a champion and all that. I start shooting these vignettes for the main roster. Like, do you know the Dos Equis beer commercial guy?
Yeah.
Interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
I start shooting commercials like that. Like I did my own surgery. I was telling the doctor where to cut and how to, fix my knee and this and that and blah 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 blah. And having the voiceover and the guy saying this and the guy saying that. I'm like, cool. I finally get the call, and I'm thinking that that's what we're gonna do. No, because no one took time to sit down and watch that. It's two writers, and they said we love that, but that's not what we're gonna do. And out of the blue, they start telling me, "Hey, Vicky Guerrero's your new girlfriend." Okay,
Okay.
cool. Let's do this. And that's how the whatever version of Eric Escobar they wanted me to do came about. It was a process of a lot of things that I did that none of them were the ones that were gonna make it to TV.
Wow.
It was something that they just put me. Here it
Mhm.
is. Let's see what you can do, type of
Hmm.
thing. But honestly, long term, I don't think they had any idea what to do.
Wow.
It seemed like they did a lot to a lot of the guys during that time period. It was just like here, 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 and then they
Yeah.
were gone like 2 weeks later.
Yep.
Never.
Sadly, for whatever reason, like if you watch what we did in developmental at that time,
Hmm.
uh, most of those people are gone. There's only like a handful of them that are still there. I mean, you got your Dolph Zigglers who are gonna be there forever, and once he retires, he's probably gonna be a trainer.
Hmm.
And you got your Drew McIntyre who left and came back. Wade Barrett made a big name for himself, and then he got injured, had to leave.
Mhm.
Sheamus is still around, Kofi's still around, but aside from that, I mean, Tyson Kidd is a producer. But from that clique, that group that we had, the originals from FCW that we had, there's only like a handful of them. There's not a whole lot of people that are still there, and that's the same reason. Um, we did so many things in developmental, and we thinking that hey, the chain is you watch it, you tell me if it's good, and you tell me if I need to change something, and if I have to change it, I'll change it to something that you suggest, and I'll make it my own and see how it works,
Hmm.
and then we go from there. But it's like nope, nope, no, and then okay, this is what we have, make it work. Okay, you just gave me a bicycle, and you want me to go race that Ducati and beat it? I
Hmm.
Right.
can't do that. But okay, let's see what I can do.
Right. Right. Brian has said this time and time again. It's almost like they just threw a bunch of shit at the wall and saw what stuck.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes what sticks in their mind
Hmm.
is not what people want to see.
No.
And this is something I talked to Lance Archer quite a bit, and we text each other back and forth. And if they would have paid, or at least we gotten the same exposure in FCW that they do NXT, the company would probably have, let's say just to give a number, they got 10 big names in the company, they would probably have like 25, 30.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll probably be one of them. I'll probably
Hmm.
be on my way out because I always had a plan of like to wrestle for 20 years and then move
Hmm.
on to something else.
Right.
Um, I would be on my way out or already retired, and then working on my other projects and still have like a relationship with WWE where I would come and go and
Hmm.
be an ambassador of some sorts.
I've
But
always said that magic that the developmental system did, like outside of that Florida area, for a long time, nobody saw FCW, or we were up in by Louisville, so we got OVW or
yeah,
HWA. So like outside of those specific areas, nobody got to see all the magic that was created down there. That they should have transitioned like to TV because of all the work they were putting in, and it was just like it was broken. Like the connect wasn't there.
yeah. Right now they have a direct line.
Yeah.
They have
Mhm.
NXT and everyone's in charge, and you got Shawn Michaels running the show there with Albert and or Matt Bloom. You got
Mhm.
Joey Mercury as a trainer, and you got some of these guys, Norman Smiley,
Mm-hmm.
all great and dandy, but you have that direct line.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of got broken a little bit, if you will, because let's call a spade a spade. Big Papa Vince, he's got an ego.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I get it. WWE, that's your baby. You're gonna do with it what you will. But sometimes you gotta take a step back and look from another perspective. You have this direct line. You're getting these kids that, if you look at their social media, by the time they leave developmental, they already have 50, 100,000 followers, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even more.
That's
Sometimes
crazy.
they get there, they already have millions of followers.
Yeah, that's nuts. Just
Man,
to comprehend.
yeah, just capitalize on that because
Yeah.
for what the bits and pieces that I watched, the clips and all that, in my opinion, a guy like Ricochet should have been at least a one-time world heavyweight champion,
Mm-hmm.
at least one time, as over as he was, and as amazing as a performer as he is.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of those guys that are super over in NXT, if you transition that to the main roster and you keep that same line of what they were doing in the main and on NXT, again, you will probably have 30, maybe 40 big
Yep.
names in the company.
Yeah. And yet you've seen them flounder that time and time again as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that I always think of is the Ascension. The
Oh my
Ascension was,
God.
God, they were so over in NXT. People
Mhm.
just loved them, ate them up. It was, you can't go wrong with a Road Warrior, demolition formula. You can't go
No.
wrong with that. And then they brought them up, and they just floundered it. It was ridiculous. And that's why this podcast, you know, like Brian says, the reason this podcast exists is because we want people to know that what they saw on national television is just a fraction, if
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, just a tiny little speck of what people can do and
Mm-hmm.
what people were and still are. And if you're watching this podcast right now, I implore you to. That's the word. I'm not good with words sometimes, but anyway, I'm asking you to go look up Eric Escobar and FCW. Don't look for WWE stuff because that everybody saw that. Look for before.
Mm-hmm.
See what all he could do because it's what that's what this podcast is about. And I like I said, I don't like touching on a lot of touchy subjects, but you mentioned Vince and Vince is back in charge.
That's what I heard.
And the thing that I'm thinking about with that is are the, it people say he's going to sell the company, and my thought process is if he does that, hopefully whoever buys it decides to give a damn good benefits package because y'all deserve something
Mm-hmm.
because you know that's the, that's what's lacking more than just bringing people in and throwing them away. They were bringing people in, throwing them away, and they had nothing to show for it. And while they were working, they had to pay for everything.
That's true. I mean, they did end up getting like some sort of like medical insurance for like injuries and stuff like that,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
which is great. Don't get me wrong. They fixed my back, and when I saw the bill, the detailed bill,
Hmm.
I was like, "Whoa,
Yep.
really?" So at that time, I'm like, I guess some job security here. I guess they're gonna try to get their money's worth. Um, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, like you end up paying for everything because if you get a cold, your kids get a cold, and let's say you're the only one bringing in money to your house, and there's no medical insurance. Medical insurance right now is it's a huge billion-dollar industry,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this insurance and you pay, for a single you pay four, five, $600 a month
Hmm.
just in case you get sick and you need, and then on top of that, oh, you got a copay of $1,000. I'm like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
really? I still have a copay, and then after that, the therapy. Oh, therapy is not included. It's like $60 a therapy session. You need to do three a week,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and on top of that, I mean, it's a business. It is a business, and we understand it's a business. But Jesse Ventura called it back in the day. He wanted to unionize
Mm-hmm.
professional wrestling, and he ended up getting fired for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they can make a division for sports entertainment within SAG,
Mm-hmm.
because if you think about it, we do our own stunts and we do our own acting.
Wow,
So
I've never thought of that. Yeah,
yeah, and you're SAG unionized, and you pay SAG for some benefits, and that way you can get medical insurance, you can get some other thing. You're still paying,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not paying as much as just you and for you and your family. You're still paying for something, but it's not as much, and you still have some sort of coverage.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty sure that that's what Jesse Ventura was saying when it came to that. It's not like we're gonna start a union and screw all the companies. No, it's not that. We just want something that if I get sick, I can go to the doctor and not have to leave my whole paycheck there.
Yep.
right.
You know,
Yeah. So, hindsight being 2020, if there was any advice that you could give to any up and comer or even just somebody that's thinking, "Hey, I think I want to be a professional wrestler," what would you tell them?
do your homework. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, I have 20 years experience," and we say, "How many matches you had?" 20. So they wrestle once a year. It's like, yikes.
They're a vet.
Um, yeah, you're a vet. What was that? What's his name? Luke Gallows. He's got that song "Grizzle Young Vet,"
Yeah.
which, by the way, and I'm going on record right now. I'll call him out. I was there with Palmer Cannon. You guys remember Palmer Cannon?
I do.
It was Drew Hankinson, aka Luke Gallows, Palmer Cannon, and myself. He started singing that song in front of us, and we started pitching ideas how to develop the song. Whatever he did with it in the end, that's on him. That's great. And I heard it. He sang it in like a podcast a while back, and I thought it was phenomenal. That's how we entertain ourselves when we were in developmental.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Grizzly Young Vet started in Deep South Wrestling, just for everyone to know. But anyways, yeah, everyone's a Grizzly Young Vet, and they only had like 20 matches in 20 years. Um, yeah, there's a lot of people out there. Do your homework. Um, I think Dr. Tom is with Glenn Jacobs. They have
Mm-hmm.
something going on. It's in Tennessee, if I'm not
It's in
Mm-hmm.
mistaken,
Knoxville.
in Knoxville.
Yeah.
They got something going on over there. Um, I don't know who else is out there anymore, but go someone with a reputation, a reputable name. Dr. Tom even has a book that he got out that tells you page by page what he did on a daily basis, and we did because he sent me the book, and I looked at him and I'm like, man, we used everything that we did is right here. You know,
Mhm.
Invest in yourself. I'm not saying go take one class and okay, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna start printing T-shirts and 8x10s or anything like that. No, learn your craft. Once you learn your craft and you're ready to start working matches, start working matches. People can teach you how to do wrestling moves, but learning how to work,
Mm-hmm.
that's something you gotta do on a regular basis. You gotta go in front of the crowd. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta go and play it by ear. You gotta go with your little dance routine. I'm gonna give you a hip toss, and after the hip toss, I'm gonna clap my hands, and you're gonna come over. And I'm gonna give you an arm drag, and then I'm gonna look at the crowd, pump my fist, and be like, "Yeah, should I hit him?" You know, stuff like that. You go with your little routine, and then you realize, okay, I suck. I gotta start listening to the crowd. The crowd is telling me that I suck, so I gotta move on to something else.
Learn how to walk and talk, right?
Exactly. The master at that, God rest his soul, Eddie Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie will come out there, and I never worked with Eddie. This is just stories that I heard. He got the kids go, hang on,
Yeah.
I'm
One
working.
second. 1 second. I'm almost done. He's
That's like in
screaming.
my house. I cleared everyone. Look, they left the PlayStation going on over there. The Christmas tree is still up. We're a Puerto Rican family. We celebrate Christmas until like February, so we good. Um, so yeah, I mean, do your homework. Go to a reputable wrestling school, learn, and then as soon as you good to start having matches, and don't think that you're gonna have a 5-star match on your first night out. No, man, you're gonna stick that whole joint up. That, oh my god, it's gonna be horrible. But that's how you learn. Steve Kerr would have us working on a bar every Tuesday night when we were on FCW, and it was phenomenal. We had our regulars; they got to know us, and we would go out there and just perform and practice. And every crappy move that we wanted to practice, we would put it in that show. And then once you start developing once you've been into it, and you're picking up at a decent pace, that's when you start investing in yourself. The 8x10s on the, I wouldn't say t-shirts right away, but 8x10s, and you start getting your merch out there, so that way people see your face. Promote yourself. Put your like I did, E Alexander A712. That's my Instagram page. That's the one that I'm the most active on.
Mhm.
I barely touch anything else. Um, um, and that's how you start, you know, working little by little. Build yourself a good reputation. Build yourself a reputation as a good worker. Safe, safe
Mhm.
worker. This guy is safe. He's not gonna hurt me. I can get in the ring with him. Good. Maybe I can help him out. Maybe we can help each other out and all that. And then you move on from there. You keep evolving little by little. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in the same thing. Just little by little, keep evolving. Keep evolving.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. For sure, it's I may not, for me personally in the business, I may not be able to do the big crazy moves or stuff like that, but I guarantee if you were to work me, you would leave that ring feeling just fine because
Mhm.
I know what I can do and I don't go past it, and that's I feel like that's definitely be push yourself but be safe, and yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's great advice. Um, the next question was, where can people find you? You answered that already. It's like you knew.
Boom. Instagram
Yeah.
at ealexander8712. You send me a message. It might take me a few days to reply, but I will reply eventually. Unless you're like asking me for money because you're like the prince of some weird country and you're gonna get like the $5 million, then I'm gonna start making fun of you. I'm like, really? Cool. When do I get my money? Stuff like that. Just it's almost an everyday thing, but that's when the where I'm most available to be contacted at. Yeah, like I said, I work a regular person job now. I'm a cop in Texas. Yeah, I was playing with sim rounds today. I got shot
Oh,
like 20 times. I'm
nice.
sorry.
Wow.
I
Oh.
got shot like 20 times, but it was all good learning, good fun. It also helps me like I want to go back to acting. I
Mhm.
started taking my acting classes again and all that. So,
Mhm.
all that training that you guys see like Keanu Reeves and all those guys do. That's the kind of training that I do
Oh, that's
for
cool.
for my job. For my job. But yeah, I want to go back to acting. I've been in a couple of projects. If you look at the IMDb,
Hmm.
Mhm.
if you look for Eric Perez and you put the little accent on the first E on Perez,
Mhm.
all my stuff will come up. I've been in a couple movies, replicas with Keanu Reeves. I was in a couple of TV series, Cleaners, Startup, you name it. I've done a few things, small roles.
Awesome.
I want to little by little start building up. I want to follow in. If you anything, I want to follow. Of course, money wise, you want to be like Dwayne Johnson. Not gonna lie,
Mhm.
who doesn't want to
Right.
be Dwayne Johnson? But I think I have more to offer
Mhm.
when it comes to acting like that, and I do appreciate Dave Batista that he's making an effort to be not just an action movie star.
Mhm.
He's trying to be an actor,
Yeah.
which is something that hats off to Dave. Uh, everything he's doing, man. If you get a chance, you start watching some of the stuff that he's doing. Apple TV. He was on that C TV series.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he did that spy movie with the little kid. which everyone goes through like a Disney phase. I haven't had mine. Hopefully, I'll get it in the next couple of years. uh, but it's entertaining all the things that he's doing.
Yeah.
Another person that we've talked to is doing the acting thing now in the Louisville area. Mike Bucci.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe hit him up, see what's going on up in that area. Maybe get you some extra acting gigs.
Yeah, I when before I left Puerto Rico, I left Puerto Rico in 2018. That's when I got hired as a cop here.
Hmm.
Um, I was getting regular work in Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
As much as Hollywood was going, they were not there every week, but
Right.
I did well enough that the casting directors will call me directly before they released the casting to everyone else. Hey, I got this for you. I'm gonna give you a call so you can come in and audition for it. I'm like, great, no problem.
That's cool.
Once I moved here, I keep getting calls from Puerto Rico, and I just tell them, I said, listen, if production wants to, fly me back home and put me up, then yeah, and if it pays well,
Yeah.
thank God I make good money as a cop. Can't really complain. Um, if the money's worth my time, then of course. But like I said, I'm trying to like get my acting chops, if you will. I'm trying to like learn more. Be that guy that I was in developmental that knew a little bit of everything
Hmm.
and was good enough. I might not make it to be in a Marvel movie making millions of dollars, but maybe I'll be in like a Marvel TV series.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. That's
There you go.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to say thank you on behalf of Brian and myself. We do appreciate you coming on, taking the time to talk with us. We'd be happy to have you on anytime again. Um, for sure, I know our interviews are usually anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, so we're hitting that mark right about now. But we would love to do a part two sometime if you'd be interested.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And thank you for everything you've done for wrestling because it does matter, and I
Uh,
appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And like I
Hmm.
said, like you guys said, support your local wrestlers. You never know who's going to be the next Rock.
Hmm.
Uh, I remember we used to do a lot of house shows in Florida, and some of the things we did there, I'm like, man,
Hmm.
man, this would have been great on TV. But
Yep.
we had it for us.
Yeah.
They'll tape the show so we can evaluate ourselves and all that. It's like, hey, we wasted that match on that little house show with like 20 people, and we went there and we killed it. But
Yep. Yep. Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Stay safe.
thank you guys, you too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Morty,
It's Brian.
and thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next
Developmentally speaking.